Okay, this is a good day. We get to go through, we get to talk about our guy, Bijan Robinson. We'll be there in just 1 second, but before we dive into it, go down there, drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel. Only if you play Dynasty Fantasy Football, you're only going to find Dynasty content here. And also, drop a comment on this video if you have any questions from a Dynasty perspective. I'm going to be trying to answer as many of those comments as I possibly can. One other thing, if you ever want to get into a draft with us, if you ever want to go check out any of these really cool player props, of course, go sign up to Underdog Fantasy. On Underdog Fantasy, you can draft with us on the live stream. You can check out those cool player props. And when you sign up with promo code FLOCK, they will match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to 100. Find the link in the description. Find it in the comment section. Available in damn near every state. But that should be it. Let's go through. Let's dive into this mock draft. We're going to start us off at the 101 with Bijan Robinson. Now, of course, I didn't make every one of these picks. We just did this mock draft in our locals community. So I got the first pick, of course, because I had to take our guy, Bijan Robinson. Where do we start? Okay. He has the size to be a 3-down player. He has the elite athletic profile. Most importantly, his decision-making ability is top-notch. You would imagine that. Most 17, most 18-year-old kids, right? They're not going to be able to make the best decisions. They are going to screw up. They are going to get some stuff wrong. But Bijan Robinson, to be able to show the fact that in high school, he made the best decision that someone could possibly ever make and decide to go to the University of Texas to be a Texas Longhorn. Do you know what this means about that decision-making ability? We said last year with Isaiah Spiller that based on his decision-making ability to go to Texas A&M, you knew you could not trust him. Look at how that panda, of course, y'all know I am a Texas alum, so we have to go through, we have to give some respect to UT. All jokes aside, the man was the #1 running back coming into this season. He's definitely the #1 running back still, where he's averaged almost 20 carries a game. The man's averaged almost 150 total yards a game. He's had 11 touchdowns through 7 games. Like we said, he has the size. He's an elite level athlete. The man is a great pass catcher as well. I mean, literally 7 games and 240 receiving yards. If you're looking at NFL mock draft database right now, they're saying that he's going to be a late round 1 pick. And I know the NFL, at this point in 2023, they don't value the running back position. Nobody cares about running backs. I get it. I understand it. This is how Bryce Hall, in my opinion, an elite level prospect that we compared to Jonathan Taylor, to Ezekiel Elliott, to Nick Chubb. We compared him to those truly elite level guys coming into the NFL. It's how he fell to the 2nd round. I get that the NFL doesn't value these running backs anymore, but honestly, I would not be surprised if Bijan Robinson is a top 10 pick because there are really no holes at all in his game. Now, going over to number 2, we had someone select Jamir Gibbs at pick 2. You can't blame them at all. This is a super flex mock draft. We'll get to Bryce Young. We'll get to CJ Stroud in just 1 second. But Jamir Gibbs was the 2nd running back coming into the season. There should be nothing that changes your mind on that either. Jamir Gibbs averaging 12.5 carries a game, averaging almost 4 receptions a game at Alabama. And you know that you're playing at Alabama, historically a team, a school that has the best offensive line, the best defensive line in the country, year in, year out. We know that Alabama wins in the trenches. Well, honestly, Alabama's offensive line this season is not what it has been in years past. Jamir Gibbs still been phenomenal. However, he's been a hyper efficient player. I mean, the man's averaging 129 total yards, as we discussed, off about 15, 16 touches per game. It is obnoxious. He looks phenomenal. You cannot watch an Alabama game and go without the announcer saying, oh, he's Alvin Kamara. Look, he looks like Alvin Kamara. You can tell that whatever little sheet they're reading off of, I don't know if they're reading off their phones when they're calling the games, the little prompt says, compare him to Alvin Kamara. Compare him to Alvin Kamara. That's all they do. Everybody wants to compare this guy to Kamara. I mean, you see why he's that great pass catcher. I honestly think that he is a safe bet to also go in round 1. Wouldn't be surprised if he goes very high either, because we know while the NFL, they don't care about their running backs anymore. What they do care about is the fact that these running backs can or cannot catch the ball, and Jamir Gibbs can do that. But now going over to our next guy, we're going to have Bryce Young, back-to-back guys out of Alabama. Here with Bryce Young, I mean, hell, he should have lost to the University of Texas earlier this year. Well, we'll leave that aside. I mean, he's a lock to be a top 5 NFL draft pick. I really have a hard time evaluating these rookie quarterbacks, and the reason for this is I am the only person on YouTube. I'm the only person on this planet that will admit that evaluating rookie quarterbacks coming into the NFL is an impossible task. We've created a system where we look at 3 different things. We look at NFL draft capital, which will indicate long-term job security and the ability for these quarterbacks to actually get starts at the next level. We look at the rushing upside of said quarterback, and we look at the situation they're stepping into. So the first bullet point is going to determine essentially how many games does this guy get to play before his NFL team gives up on him. The second 2 points with his rushing upside and his situation determines how many points can he actually score if he comes in and he's an okay starting quarterback at the NFL level. Because I don't want to overrate my ability to evaluate these quarterbacks in college, I mean, it's hard to say anything, but this is how we avoided the landmine of Justin Fields. Y'all remember a few years ago, Justin Fields, his rookie season, after falling in the NFL draft, and we sit here and say, okay, well, guys, I know everybody in the Dynasty community thinks we're all geniuses. I know I'm an idiot. I'll let you know this right now. You're not good at evaluating these quarterbacks, so we should probably avoid the guy who fell that far in the NFL draft. We should not be just consensusly ranking him ahead of Trey Lance. Obviously, our guy Lance is currently apparently never going to start, but it is what it is. Let's move on. Jackson Smith-Njigba as our next one. I mean, we can evaluate the wide receiver position. You have that system to easily look at these guys with their breakout age, with the year they declare for the NFL draft, with their dominator rating, their final season in school, and with their athletic profile, plus their draft capital. I mean, Jackson Smith-Njigba going to check every single box. What I love and what we have something that's different with our prospect model with how we evaluate these college players is level of competition in college. This is why I love Chris Olave. This is why I love Garrett Wilson coming into this year's NFL draft, because we looked at that Ohio State wide receiver room. We said, okay, well, you have Jackson Smith-Njigba, 1,600 receiving yards, the #1 receiver in that 2023 class. You have Garrett Wilson, who was the top 10 pick last year. You had Chris Olave, who was damn near a top 10 pick as well. All these guys competing for targets, and they were all phenomenal at the same time. We've seen Garrett Wilson, we've seen Chris Olave dominate their first seasons in the NFL. Hell, Jackson Smith-Njigba, as a true sophomore, was significantly, and I repeat, significantly better than both Wilson and Olave their final seasons at Ohio State in that same offense, in that same situation, with the same guy at quarterback who's our next pick off the board here in CJ Stroud. So going back to what we were discussing previously, I really like to just look at NFL draft capital and trust NFL teams with what they are saying with these quarterbacks. Now, CJ Stroud, of course, when he is probably going to be the #1 overall pick in the NFL draft, we're in a spot that he's probably not going to be going to a great team right now. Looks like maybe the Panthers, maybe the Texans are getting said #1 pick, but hell, Stroud has been very impressive. With CJ Stroud, I have one question for y'all. And I think that 99% of the time, if someone says, oh, don't draft receivers out of USC, they fail. Oh, don't draft position X out of school Y, they always do bad. 9 times out of 10, that is garbage analysis. That is just helmet scouting, and it doesn't help anybody. But if we look at the long list, the long, and I repeat, long list of quarterbacks going to Ohio State, having the best situation imaginable, having at the same school, I mean, dear God, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Garrett Wilson, and Chris Olave, having an elite offensive line, putting up ridiculous numbers, and then being overrated like Justin Fields. There's a long list. Let me know in the comment section, would I be a hypocrite? Would I just be an idiot here if we said maybe there's a small reason to be a little bit worried about CJ Stroud, that he is just in the perfect situation in college with the perfect pieces around him, And maybe you'd rather go for someone that had to go up against some adversity like, Josh Allen at a tiny school. I don't know. I think we're probably being stupid. We're probably doing the exact thing we make fun of people for. So let's move on. CJ Stroud looks like he should be a top 3 pick in the NFL draft. Looks like someone you can build comfortably around in your Superflex rookie drafts. Going over to our next guy, Jordan Addison. I know everybody is hyped up with Jordan Addison. I think there's the smallest chance maybe he goes to USC. What happens if USC continues to dominate this season? And Jordan Addison's going, well, you know what? I'm going to USC. I'm the freaking man on campus. I'm getting paid God knows how much money. I'm surrounded by college girls. I'm living life, okay? Let me have one more year of this. I love it. I'll go to the NFL next year. There's a tiny chance when you're getting paid that much, you just stay in college. But I am a little hesitant with Jordan Addison because with our process, like we said, we really want to look at the market share numbers for these receivers. With Addison, he's had 585 receiving yards so far this season in only 7 games, but that's only accounted for about 28% of the receiving yards on a per game basis at USC. Now, he is still supposed to be a top 10 NFL draft pick. If you're looking at NFL mock draft database, which of course the sample size here is a little bit smaller than what it will be in the offseason, this will be a much better tool in the offseason, but they have him at 10 going to Chicago, which obviously looks to be a pretty damn good spot. I don't know. I think maybe I would be a little bit more hesitant to buy into Jordan Addison to the same level that other people are. I think I would definitely prefer the quarterbacks who go before him. I'd prefer Jack Smith and Jigba in the running back. So I'd say if you want to push up Jordan Addison before here, I'm definitely going to argue with you. If you want to have him down here at the 106, I'll be fine with it. But now Greyhound comes out with our next pick, takes Will Levis, a big-time riser, someone that coming into this season, people were saying was going to be a late first-round pick. Now he looks like he's potentially a top 10 guy after having a very good start to the year. From an adjusted yards per pass attempt standpoint, Will Levis, 10.2 adjusted yards per pass attempt. This is, I don't want to say comparable to CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud's just so damn good at 13. We could say this a little bit better than Bryce Young. It's in the same ballpark as Bryce Young. Of course, as we discussed with these quarterbacks, it's very hard to just look at their numbers, knowing there are so many different things affecting the situation that they have in school. I want to be focusing on the situation they're stepping into in the NFL, their NFL draft capital, as well as the rushing upside. Levis hasn't really run much this year, but it looks like he should be a top 10 pick and he should be a good asset in fantasy football. Definitely better than what we had in last year's rookie draft. Now going over to our next guy, Kayshon Boutte, someone that has been on the radar for a very long time at LSU. He was a top high school prospect. So a lot of people have noticed his name. A lot of people have been tracking him since his true freshman season. It is true freshman year. He broke out. He had 73 receiving yards per game. That is a very bullish signal. You have that true freshman season breakout after being an elite high school prospect. You are very exciting at that point, but it's a big but. Right now, he is 3rd at LSU in receiving yards. Now, of course, he's played 1 fewer games, but even if we're adjusting for a per game standpoint, he's number 2 at LSU in receiving yards. He has 15% of this team's receiving yards on a per game basis. Historically speaking, if you look at our database, that is very, very bad. You're playing at LSU. You have top competition playing alongside you. This is also a wide receiver that's dealt with injuries. I am a lot less excited now than I was coming into this season. Still, NFL mock draft database has him as a first-round pick. So what the hell do I know at this point? We're only 7 games in. Definitely say he's trending in the wrong direction, though. Going over to our next guy, Hendon Hooker. Interesting player here. Obviously, at Tennessee, cruising. Just went through and took down Alabama in a game that everybody was watching. I would say that NFL mock draft database, probably a little bit too low on him at this point. He's 100% going to the NFL. This is a 5th season. They have him as an early 2nd-round pick. I actually think that, honestly, with the way this season has been trending, with how damn good he has been, he is probably going to continue to slide up. I'm in an adjusted yards per pass attempt standpoint at 10.7. The man has crushed it with rushing the football as well. So like I said, when I'm not overly confident in my ability to evaluate these college quarterbacks coming to the NFL, because I've seen the numbers, I know how hard of a game it is, and I've seen how bad the dynasty community is at it over and over and over again, I'm smart enough to say, okay, I'm probably not good at this. You're probably not good at this. But if we see rushing upside, we see NFL draft capital, that's a player I'm willing to buy into. That's why we bought into Jalen Hurts in Dynasty rookie drafts. That's why we bought into Lamar Jackson. That's why we bought into Trey Lance. This is a profile I'm excited about if we can get in the late first. I think at this point in a Superflex league, give me him over Boutte easily. And honestly, depending on how things continue to trend, if he gets like first round NFL draft capital in a Superflex league where he has the rushing upside, maybe take him as high as Jordan Addison, maybe a little bit before. But now going over to our next guy here, we are going to have Zach Evans. With Zach Evans, obviously, big time transfer this offseason. He's been phenomenal. He was extremely efficient at TCU. The issue with Zach Evans, he's not catching the football, which is a little bit frustrating. And what's also interesting is, according to NFL Mock Draft Database, don't have him going inside the top 2 rounds, which I would really like to see that draft capital inside the top 2 rounds if you were going to take him this early in a loaded rookie draft. Now going over to our next guy, Quentin Johnson, someone I was excited about coming into this season. I mean, he had continued to get better. He has been a field stretching wide receiver in years past, where he has an extremely high average yards per target, yards per reception, where he's operating deeper downfield for this TCU offense. This past year, I mean, he's bumped up his receiving to actually, now he's up to about 90 receiving yards a game. The yards per reception have come down a bit. I mean, only in 6 games, he's already broken his career high in receptions. You like this? At the same time, he looks like he is going to get first round NFL draft capital. I don't want to say that he's an elite level receiver, though. I honestly would be a lot more excited about those guys last year, like Garrett Wilson, as a prospect, just as a prospect. Maybe now it's different. Like Treylon Burks, obviously Drake London. We don't even have to talk about Drake London. I mean, obviously this 2023 class is absurd, specifically at the top end with running back and quarterback. But, I mean, I kind of like the rookie wide receivers. Y'all know I was a fan of that rookie wide receiver class last year. Now our last guy on this list, Sean Tucker. Surprised again to see NFL Mock Draft Database, they don't have him going inside the top 2 rounds. However, he's been phenomenal. I mean, over the past 6 games, he's averaging over 20 carries a game, just like he did as a true sophomore. He's averaging over 100 rushing yards a game, and this is what you love to see. This is what you need to see. I mean, it's so weird that in college, these running backs, they don't really change too much as rushers from year 2 to year 3, but the massive jump that we need to see and that we usually see is going to be with the receiving usage. You actually have Sean Tucker with 23 receptions, his career high, only 6 games in to this season so far. So proving that he can be someone that goes out there and catches the ball. So hell, if he is the elite level athlete, if he's been hyper productive and he catches the ball, now all we need is we need to see the size, and we also need to see the NFL draft capital. But thank you again. I truly do appreciate all of y'all. And like I said, this is not my top 12 list. Maybe I'll get y'all my top 12 rankings another day. This is the Dynasty Rookie Mock Draft we hosted on Locals. So please, I know, trust me out here in the comment section, you have a ton of disagreements. Let me know what you disagree about down there in the comment section. I probably got a lot wrong in this video as well. So if you have anything that you want to tell me that I'm wrong about, drop it in the comments. Thank you again. I truly do appreciate you. If you play Dynasty, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you drop that like, and I'll see you with the video hopefully soon.